as I was waiting for the nose to drop, the plane felt very unstable. The stall warning horn went off, and I expected the nose to drop, but it didn't. The left wing dropped before the right wing dropped, and I got into a graveyard spiral. So that's when my heart sank, as I mentioned earlier, and my heart really sank. And I thought these were going to be the last few seconds of my life, because it was not part of, and it's still not part of private pilot training to get out of a graveyard spiral, because it's simply too dangerous. They don't want to even practice it. So I was trying everything that I could think of with the controls, and nothing worked. And then finally, after dropping 1,000 feet out of the sky, I let go of all the controls and said, God, take this plane. And then in an instant, I came into a straight and narrow flight.
Wow.
So letting go literally saved my life.
Get ready to reclaim your life, discover inspiring stories, practical tools, and the path to true happiness. This is Reclaim Your Life with Irina. Let's begin the journey. Hello and welcome to Reclaim Your Life with Irina. Today we have a special guest, Reinhardt Klatt. He helps business leaders to maintain well-being, happy relationships, and outstanding corporate cultures based on a personal life and death experience. His book, Letting Go Saved My Life, is coaching readers to remove what's holding them back. He loves mentoring two business owners overseas who use their business as a mission for good. As an engineer, Reinhard has worked and lived in Germany, South Africa, and the United States, managing projects on all continents. He effectively works with many diverse cultures. Reinhard is married and has two adult sons. A lot of reading and being in the outdoors support his personal growth and well-being. Welcome, Reinhard. It is a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much, Irina. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. So please share with us, who is Reinhard in your own words?
Well, I guess I'm a husband and a father, and I am a business owner and somebody who is trying to help others, fulfill their potential in their lives and do the best they can. And wherever I see opportunities to serve, I've realized that I don't even have to knock at doors to find opportunities. I ask God for them, and then they come to me. And then so many doors open for me where I don't even knock at. But it's a clear sign for me as to what I'm meant to be doing. So that's sort of my motto. That's what I like to do. And I personally believe very much in personal and spiritual growth. To continue to always do that, it helps us to actually increase our capacity to serve. So that's my motive behind that.
Awesome. I love that. What makes you happy?
What makes me happy? Well, what makes me happy or fulfilled is when I sense that I can make a difference in other people's lives. That's what makes me most fulfilled. And of course, when things go well, when the weather is nice and so on and so forth, that helps. But primarily, my question is, how much can I make a difference in other people's lives, in each day in which I can accomplish that, and each day in which I can live a life that is, let's say, that is pleasing to God, then that to me is a good day.
Very well. What are you passionate about?
I'm very passionate about living the right kind of life that we are meant to live. And there are so many principles, so many ideals, and so many, virtues and values that we have that we could live as a whole, as mankind. We could live a much better life if we followed some just very basic principles. And one of those, I realized that sometimes even when it comes to religion, we often just follow a set of traditions, whereas is it really making us a better person? And for that reason, I'm encouraging others as well to try to continue to grow. And that's why I've authored my second book, which is called Coached by the Bible. It's not out yet. It'll be out hopefully by the end of the year or early next year.
Wow, incredible. You're so right. Sometimes we are coached by our environment and by our peers, and we forget that there is more to life than that.
Yeah, and what I have found is, there's so many virtues that are discussed that are very independent of which culture we grow up in. It's not just a cultural thing, it's universal. I mean, virtues like love, kindness, joy, long suffering, patience, self control, all those things that are universally accepted virtues across all cultures. And if we all strove to live into those, it would make this world a very different place.
Totally, totally. What makes your heart sing?
Well, I must say, sometimes I watch also podcasts, or I watch people talking about their lives on YouTube and so on. And when there's people who have high values, high integrity, then and I see them talk to each other in how they live their lives and what matters to them. That is to me very touching. I mean, I cry sometimes when I watch that, and I see, wow, what amazing people there are out there. And unfortunately, a lot of those people are very much criticized because they are discouraged by a lot of other people. Just as an example, I had the opportunity to visit Kenya earlier this year, and to meet a governor in one of the counties, which is sort of like the equivalent to a state in America. And this man is fighting very hard against corruption. He is a person of faith, of high integrity, but he's already had 5 assassination attempts on his life because he's fighting corruption. So that to me lifts me up or warms my heart, really, to see that kind of a dedication to doing the right thing.
Yeah, you're right. When we do something against the grain, against the expectations, we can be criticized.
Right. And we do it anyway, and to me, a leader is somebody who does the right thing even if nobody else does.
Yeah.
That to me that's leadership.
True. Then other people can follow.
Right.
And not be afraid.
And that comes from confidence, and I always tell people the distinction between confidence and pride. In America, often people think pride is a virtue when it really isn't. Pride is only a cover-up for a lack of confidence, a confidence that is rooted in our integrity, that we know we act on our best understanding, we act with integrity. That gives us confidence, really. And proud people are just covering up a hole that's there when they don't have confidence.
Yes, so true. What was the moment in your life that caused you to wake up, when you realized however you were living wasn't working and you had to change?
That's a good question. I mean, I realized, and I don't know whether I should tell you my story right now. Is this a good time?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I had the opportunity to fulfill a childhood dream of mine when I lived in Southern California. A good friend of mine, he became a flight instructor, and so that was the time for me to do it. The sun shines almost every day. You can fly almost every day, and so it was a time to it took a month basically just to get a pilot's license. So that's what I wanted to do. And on my third solo flight, I had to practice how to recover from a stall. I did that at 2,500 feet. I practiced or simulated a stall that occurs during the landing or just around the landing. An approach to landing stall recovery is what they call it. And you practice it at higher altitude. The most dangerous times when you are in a plane is when you take off and when you land, because those are the times when you're very close to the ground. and you want to make sure that you don't stall the plane during that time, where you have no room for recovery. So you practice it at a higher altitude. And so I expected the nose to drop and then react to it and recover from the stall quickly. And we were instructed on how to do that. But as I was waiting for the nose to drop, the plane felt very unstable. The stall warning horn went off, and I expected the nose to drop, but it didn't. The left wing dropped before the right wing dropped, and I got into a graveyard spiral.
Oh, wow.
So that's when my heart sank, as I mentioned earlier. And my heart really sank. And I thought these were going to be the last few seconds of my life, because it was not part of, and it's still not part of private pilot training to get out of a graveyard spiral, because it's simply too dangerous. They don't want to even practice it. Mm-hmm. So I was trying everything that I could think of with the controls, and nothing worked. And then finally, after dropping 1,000 feet out of the sky, I let go of all the controls and said, God, take this plane. Mm. And then in an instant, I came into a straight and narrow flight.
Wow.
So letting go literally saved my life. And yes, it was a wake-up call in some sense, but to be honest, I learned a lot of the lessons like later on, afterwards, when I shared the story with people. And I remember specifically a woman at work in Tennessee one time. I told her the story, and she said, "You just ministered to me." And I said, "How?" And her reply was, "Well, you just made me realize what I need to let go of." And I'm so relieved. And that's when I realized, wait a minute, what is there still in your own life that you need to let go? And so as I was sharing the story with people over the years, they shared with me other things in their lives that they needed to let go, and that was holding them back. And that's why I decided to write the book and basically share those stories, those situations, those areas in life where we need to let go, things that are holding us back. And that's even what I share with my coaching clients. I say, I'm a high performance coach, and we coach through the high performance habits. That's like stepping on the gas. But I also coach them to let go of what's holding them back. That's like taking the foot off the brake. Right. And, you can step on the gas as much as you want. If you still have the other foot on the brake, you're not going to go very far. You're just burning a lot of gas. You're burning a lot of energy. And sometimes we don't even know. One time I had when we moved from Tennessee, where I had a few pine trees to cut in our yard, we moved to Ohio. But our chainsaw was stolen, and so I had to buy a new one. But here I had to cut an oak tree. And with the new chainsaw, I was starting to cut that oak tree. Oh, it was so hard. It was so hard. I mean, the chain was moving, but very slowly. And then even when I revved the engine, once I hit the oak, it was just moving so slowly, I couldn't believe it. And then I felt like it was heating up too much, so I stopped and took it to the dealer. And they said, well, no worries, it's a new chainsaw, it's under warranty, we'll fix it. The next day they called me back and they said, sorry, it's not under warranty because you had the brake on. I said, what? On my old chainsaw, which was the same brand, they when I had the brake on, it wouldn't move at all. It was like completely locked. Mm-hmm. And they said, yeah, now they put in these cheaper band brakes, and if you rev the engine hard enough, it still moves a little bit. So the moral of the story is sometimes we don't even know what's slowing us down, what's holding us back. And so that's why it's important to sometimes dig and find out, what is it that's holding me back? And sometimes we need a coach, to help us identify those areas, because we ourselves don't even think about them.
Yeah, I think a good reference is a coach helps remove the blinders that we have. Like horses have blinders to go only one way. Yeah. And coach helps see those blind angles that we don't even recognize, we don't even know, we are not even aware because it's not something we pay attention to.
Right, right. And it's funny, when I had a coach, sometimes he would ask me questions, why are you thinking that way? Why are you doing that? And so on and so forth. And he would like, do you know that's true? Are you absolutely sure that's true? Well, come to think of it, I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. Awesome. What were the 3 biggest lessons you learned as a result of this wake-up call, that letting go saved your life?
I think the biggest one, of course, is, letting go of control, especially in areas where things are really not under your control. And I heard, and I forget who wrote about it, but my coach told me about helping with our mindset to put every thought into one of 3 buckets. The one bucket, the first bucket is my business, or my business meaning things that I have control over and that I'm responsible for. So I focus on that. The other bucket is what other people are responsible for and what they have some level of control over. That's other people's business. And then the third bucket is something where no person can do anything about it. For example, if a volcano erupts, and I call it God's bucket, that's his responsibility. He can take care of it. So when we basically accept everything the way it is that is outside of our bucket, then we can focus on what's within our bucket, within our control, and our responsibility. Stephen Covey used to call it my circle of influence, but I have shared that with clients who say, but there's things that I can't accept. Well, it depends on what you mean when you say accept. When I say accept, I mean, it doesn't mean you like it. It doesn't mean you approve of it. It doesn't mean you support it. It doesn't mean it meets your values. It doesn't mean it's not wrong or any of that. It simply means it's not in your bucket. There's nothing you can do about it. It's out of your control. So all you can do is pray about it and leave it there, So that's one big lesson, I guess. And the other one is to continue the process of trying to identify where am I falling short? Where could I do better? Where could I waste less time? Where could I make a bigger impact? Those types of things. That's the second biggest lesson. And the third one is to realize. Let's put it this way. I remember when I got into a new position as a program manager, and it was overwhelming. There was so much I had to do, and a lot of it was new. And so I felt a lot of pressure, a lot of stress I wasn't used to before. But what helped me in those situations, I said, okay, this is not a life and death situation that needs to be resolved within the next few seconds, So that helps me put things in perspective. Yes, there's time to resolve this, and it's not going to kill you if it doesn't quite work out the way you are hoping to.
Love those lessons. And especially the first one, how you can put every thought in those 3 buckets. And you're so right. We sometimes worry so much about in other people's business that we forget our own business. And we are only responsible for our own things and
right.
That concern us. What other people think is their ideas and their responsibilities. And sometimes we go and we value their opinion so much better than our own, or we get into unnecessary, how you call it, mind.
Yeah.
I don't have a word right now.
Well, other people's expectations, that's the thing is what I mentioned earlier. The big difference for me personally is the difference between pride and confidence. Pride is concerned with what other people think. Confidence is concerned with, for me personally, what God thinks. Am I living in integrity based on my best understanding. I'm not claiming to understand everything perfectly, and to know everything and to always know 100% what would God necessarily expect of me at this time. But integrity means we act on our best understanding at the time. That's all we can do, really, And so I think that can give us confidence. And it comes together with humility. If we have humility, that means to me, and it's important to understand the distinction too, and it's not about fake humility. Fake humility is things like being shy, being poor, those kinds of things. For example, I had a client who grew up in a culture, in an Amish culture, where humility was pretty high, a high value, so to speak. Which it is a high value, but oftentimes it's then practiced as fake humility. He was doing extremely well in his business, and he was still driving around an old rust bucket of a truck. And he felt like, he shouldn't show off and everything and buy a truck that he could afford, a nice new truck. And I said, that has nothing to do with humility. That has nothing to do with it. Humility simply means you have room to grow. You don't know it all. You haven't reached the spiritual maturity of Jesus Christ yet, So that means that applies to everybody. So everybody, no matter where they are, they can still grow. They can still learn more. And so that to me is real humility. And the interesting thing is that what I have noticed, that people who have humility, who are willing to continue to grow and to learn, when they do that, their competence goes up. And as their competence goes up, their confidence also goes up. But people who think they know it all or act like they know it all, they don't continue to grow, so they don't grow their confidence. And so they can continue to just cover it up with pride and arrogance.
Yes, totally. And I love that, continuous growth. That's what Reclaim Your Life is all about. Live, dream, and grow, that we constantly learning and evolving, because we're students of life. We get to learn different things about ourselves and about the world and interact better as we evolve, as we get different kind of challenges on each level of our understanding and evolution.
That's right. That's right. It's funny, it just recently turned 66, and there was a song, a pop song in the 70s, and my sister on my birthday, she sent me that song, and it said like, mit 66 Jahren, da fängt das Leben an, like with 66 your life starts. That was the song, and so I'm thinking, the people who just say, okay, I'm going to retire, I'm going to go on my golf course in Florida, whatever, that's not my idea. I think that can be very empty. I'm not saying you shouldn't enjoy life. I totally get it about, wellness, personal wellness, take care of yourself. But that's all part of continuing to increase your capacity to serve in some ways, Yeah. And it's not selfish to take care of yourself, to the contrary. It helps. I mean, if you're sick and if you're miserable, you can't help other people. But you can help them when you yourself, your health and your mental state is in a good position,
Yes, totally. Yeah. So now that you had your wake-up call and you learned your lessons, what is your mission now?
My mission is to share it with other people. And I know, based on experiences that I've had with people on feedback, that it really helps them when I share my story. When I published my book, Letting Go Saved My Life during COVID, it was interesting. I got a notice from somebody on Facebook. Somebody contacted me on Facebook, a woman who had a very traumatic childhood, very abusive father. She also had an abusive first husband, and very traumatic. But then she said, I was in therapy for years. And then I read your book, and I'm finally letting go. I've finally been able to let go. And so that to me is so rewarding. And when I realized that, that's when I did something that initially scared me to death. I wanted to get on a TEDx talk to share it with a broader audience. And I did that TEDx talk in February. Now it has 120,000 plus views. So my mission is to share that story, to help people to let go, of what's holding them back, what's slowing them down, and what's making them sad, what's making them carry things with them that don't serve them at all. Baggage, to let go of baggage that's just slowing them down and holding them back. And then I also help people through coaching to do the best they can, and to help them, especially people who try to do a lot of good, like business owners. Are often, even if they're people of faith and they really want to make a contribution in the community and make a difference, they can still be overwhelmed, and then they still can have deal with anxieties, and they still can be burned out. And so I want to help those, to support them, help them to manage their life in a way that's sustainable, to where they can, over their lifetime, can have the maximum impact. Not just a short sprint and then crash.
Yes. Life is a marathon, not a sprint. So we need to have enough gas in a tank to keep going and not burn out.
Well, it's funny because it's easy for me to say because I'm not a sprinter at all. I mean, I am so bad at sprinting. When I was a teenager, my sister, who was 2 years younger than I, could outrun me on a 100-meter dash. Track and field days were my most dreaded days in high school, or in school, in middle school also, because my numbers were off the charts, the bottom of the charts, not the top of the charts. Now, thankfully, because I can sprint, I can still do a 10K run. I can still do a 10K run in an hour, but it's because I can't sprint. So I don't burn up energy. I just can't.
Cool. Awesome. Who was your hero growing up, or did you have somebody you looked up to when you were little?
A hero that I grew up with. Somebody I just know off a lot. I didn't know him personally very much. Mm-hmm. That was my uncle, who was a farmer in Namibia, Southwest Africa, as it was called at the time. And he was very successful. He did very well with his farm. But treating his people very well. He really took care of his people. And one thing that I admired about him, every night he would go up on one of those windmills to pump power, and he would blow a trumpet and sing play a hymn to thank God for His blessings. So everybody else said, it's your hard work and all this and your smarts that have made you so successful. To where he actually was the first farmer in Namibia to buy a helicopter for his farm, because he was these farms are so big because it's a desert. You need several acres per sheep. That's why they are so big. And unfortunately, a month after he got the helicopter, he crashed with it and it killed him. But he was, he had a lot of things that I admired, and being a pilot as well was one of the things I wanted to do. But I wanted to be, I told my flight instructor, I said, I need to be safe, you need to make sure that these graveyard spirals don't happen anymore, because,
right.
My mom has already lost 2 cousins in separate air crashes, so I don't want that to happen. But he was I admired him. I really admired him a lot.
Nice. What qualities of his did you want to emulate for yourself?
Pardon?
What his qualities did you want to emulate for yourself?
Oh, the qualities?
Yeah.
Well, he was well, he was working hard, yeah, but also he really cared about the people that he dealt with. He made sure he took care of the well-being of all the workers on the farm. And they loved to work for him so much that they actually asked him, can we get like work uniforms with the name of the farm on it? Because they were so happy and proud to work for that farm. So just his gratitude, I think, even in despite of his success, he maintained that level of humility. That to me is very important. I mean, he could have easily, driven a Mercedes or whatever, and he was driving around in his Volkswagen. It's just now, it's just he was not trying to put on a show, so to speak.
Thank you. What was the smallest thing you've done that had the biggest impact in your life so far?
The smallest thing that I've done that had the biggest impact. That's a good question. Sometimes we don't even know what it is. But I can think of several situations where I said something to somebody that stuck with them for a long time or made a much bigger impact. And sometimes we're reluctant to do certain things because we have imposter syndrome. Just to give you an example, I like running in a park nearby. And for a while there, I saw a young woman with her child on the back, in a backpack. And there were some pictures from the library. They had, there were certain stations where the library put up pictures of children's books and so on. She always stood at them and talked to the child and so on. And I somehow, something told me, you need to tell her that what she's doing is great. That what she's doing is one of the most important things you can do. But then I thought, she's a young woman, looked like in her early 30s maybe, and I'm this guy twice her age, and we live in the Midwest where people don't talk to strangers that much. It's different in the South where I lived for 15 years, so it was a culture shock for me. And I felt, maybe it's not appropriate to say anything. But one day I said, don't worry about it, just say it. Just go up to her and said, you're doing one of the most important jobs you can do. And she looked at me and said, how did you know that I needed to hear that today?
Wow.
So it's the little things. And we're so worried about how we come across to people. We have this imposter syndrome. And we're worried too much about what other people think. When in reality, they often don't think what we are afraid of that they would think.
Yes. It's like we're all wearing our own kind of set of glasses and we see everything through our glasses. And if we remove them, it's totally different and we're all kind of walking like this. And it takes perspective to kind of to shift. And like you say, we do have this imposter syndrome that we think we are invading or we are doing something bad. But in your case, she needed to hear those words. And you came right in that moment and said them to her too. So awesome. I love that. What is your superpower if you had to pick one?
My superpower, well, I guess I have told people this before. I don't feel like I'm super, how shall I say, I'm super talented in any one area. And I'm not a super fast learner. But I think just, how shall I say, try to be balanced and pay attention to the areas in life that matter, and we don't have to be perfect in anything. But it's an interesting question, but I think I continue to always be curious. I continue to be curious. What could be done better? What could be done simpler? What could bring more joy? And just to find that balance and to have an overall picture of things. Like, I think that's helping me, especially with dealing with my clients, to help them see the big picture. And I always, what I like to do is, I mean, as an engineer, I like to solve problems. And sometimes I think, yeah, that's a little problem that could be improved, but it's a distraction. So I think I have the ability to sort of take a broader look at things, to look at it from a higher perspective, to sort of, and then I compare like building a shelf, building shelves, and then putting things in the right place, but to have the right concept instead of just working on one little thing and not seeing what else is going on. I think that's probably what it is, and I think trying to tune in to people, trying to find out what is important, what matters, and to always try to improve a little bit. Like when I was an exchange student at Cleveland State University, and I needed to improve my English. Thankfully, I had a roommate who grew up with German parents. He spoke both German and English, and I told him to always correct my English. And with his German background, as Germans tend to be, very direct. So he wasn't shy about correcting me. but I took it, and that I think that helps to improve. How shall I say? Like, for example, when I was in 5th grade and I had to take English as a foreign language, I struggled to get a passing grade. But by the time I reached high school, I was the second best in English in the class. The only other guy that was better was somebody who spent a year in America as an exchange student. But I just continued to work on it. I just didn't give up. I would listen to American Forces Network. I would travel to England every summer for 3 weeks and took every opportunity to expose myself to more English. As I said earlier, I'm not a fast learner, but I don't give up. I continue to work at it.
Yeah. So your curiosity, a big picture thinker, and tenacious. You don't give up. You keep going. You take the challenge and you head on and you keep persevering until you get to results.
Yeah.
Until you get to improve. So awesome. I love that. Was there any book that you can recommend that inspired your journey, inspired your life?
There have been several books. I mean, as I mentioned, I read the Bible every day. That's where I find so much inspiration. And other books that have helped me as well, like Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. That sort of got me started more on this road to personal development, actually. And then I've read other books from Brendon Burchard. I like his books, The High Performance Habits, which of course I'm now using to coach my people. And he also wrote a book. It's an interesting style. It's called the Motivation Manifesto. That's a very good book. I really like that.
Awesome. Nice. What do you want to create next? Any fun projects you're working on that you like to share?
Well, I am currently working with a friend in Kenya and local or regional government there, the governor in Kenya and his trade minister. We've been talking. They are interested in a solar cooker project for Kenya. And that was a solar cooker that was invented in Germany over 30 years ago. And so I remember that. And when I traveled to Kenya for the first time in April, I saw how much people are burning with wood and charcoal. And it's really not healthy. And it's very expensive. And it's not healthy at all. It's very bad for the environment. And so I told them about the solar cooker. And so they are very interested in introducing that in Kenya and to to use it not only to help people save energy, to help with the environment, the immediate environment in their area, in their houses, and also with their, of course, with their health. And at the same time, it requires a lot of labor to make them. So they are wanting to create a lot of jobs. So that's a project that I'm excited about. I will be traveling to Kenya again in a couple of weeks. So hopefully we get that going. Things can be slow, but we persist. So
Yeah.
and I think it's going to make a difference in many people's lives.
Awesome. I love that. You're right. Yeah. Thank you. Is there anything I haven't asked that you would like to share?
Yeah, I just want to. I guess I want to encourage people to watch my YouTube talk, the TEDx talk that I have. It's on YouTube. When I asked them why did they pick me as a speaker, they said because there's a lot of young people who are dealing with anxieties, all kinds of anxieties. They're anxious about all kinds of things, and what they liked is that an older person like me would, give them a perspective, a different perspective. And so that's why they wanted to have me at Purdue University for that TEDx talk. And so that's my hope, that people will benefit from the lessons that I have learned as well.
Yes, awesome. Thank you. If people would like to connect and learn more about you, where would they go?
They can go to my website. It's www.carriedoneagleswings.com. And you can maybe publish it. I don't know whether you have a means to publish it.
Yes,
so they can go to my website, check that out. And then also, if they have any questions, please have them, send me an email. It's right there on my website as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming. We'll include everything in episode notes. And I love, the lesson and your wake-up call, letting go saved your life, and 3 powerful lessons you learn as a result. That was incredible. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, Irina. I'm really happy that I was able to also share those lessons on your platform. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.